Today I'm going to break down the sensual and, dare I say, musically erotic chords and song arrangement of Ennio Morricone's Veruschka, noteworthy for its extremely unique key changes. For those who don't know Ennio Morricone, he is one of the most brilliant and eclectic composers of the 20th century, with most of his output appearing as film scores to Italian and American films. This guy scored the music to more than 400 films. Imagine being that prolific. If you come to my channel because you like my chord progression breakdowns, especially the Beach Boys songs I have analyzed, please do yourself a favor and stick around for the breakdown of this unbelievable song, and I'm pretty sure you will not be disappointed. You may even discover a new avenue of music appreciation to explore. The depth of material in the 60s and 70s Italian film score output is seemingly infinite and is a huge rabbit hole to take a plunge down. There are quite a few composers who stand out in the cinema Italiano genre, from Piero Piccioni, Piero Umiliani, Bruno Nicolai, Berto Pisano, and so many more, but none were more prolific and more effective than Ennio Morricone. If you want to learn more about this amazing genre, check out the video on my channel that I am showing on the screen now, where we interview one of my buddies, Alan Bishop, who is co-founder of Sublime Frequencies Records and happens to be one of the most knowledgeable people in the world on this genre, and has collected thousands of Italian soundtracks on vinyl and CD and distilled them into personal best-of collections that I have been lucky enough to hear and have in my collection. Amazing stuff. Check that video out. You will learn a lot. Please take a moment to help me grow this online community by hitting subscribe below, ringing the notification bell so you know when I release new videos, hitting the like button, and leaving comments. You help me tremendously in my efforts to reach more people with this channel. Pay a visit to my YouTube homepage and hit the playlist tab to see the various categories that I offer, from the various types of instruction in my music theory, production, and songwriting, all the way to my various original music projects. It is all clearly laid out on the playlist page. You can also sign up for my email list on the front page of my website, timsmolens.com, to stay informed about all the latest happenings. Then please consider joining my Patreon called High Castle Conservatory, where we do even more advanced chord analysis, exclusive online classes, songwriting, arranging, and music production lessons, harmonic science content, exclusive interviews, exotic music appreciation recommendations, and more. Explore the various tiers on my Patreon conservatory today. Morricone was an anomaly in the world of soundtrack composers and made music that was informed not only by a foundation of classical and jazz, but also bossa nova, pop music, traditional Italian music, as well as larger, more exotic ensembles of rock and pop music that appeared in the 1960s. His scores came in a variety of genres. Many are familiar with his spaghetti western stylings, where he combines orchestral timbres with more rock flavors like surf guitar, organ, harmonica, whistle, exotic percussion, such as his score for The Good, the Bad, and the Ugly, which is one of his more famous compositions. Some of his music has more of a Sicilian mafia type of sound, for lack of better terminology. Listen to the theme from his movie score for the Sicilian Clan to hear an example of that. He also has a genre that Alan Bishop called erotica, where the music has an exotic, jazzy, bossa nova feel and usually has a female vocalist featured using a very breathy, sensual type of timbre with a significant amount of reverb on it. Although very far from pornography, the sounds of the singer definitely call to mind certain types of activities. Veruschka, Poesia di una donna, did I butcher that? The Poetry of a Woman, I think is how that translates, was a soundtrack to a psychedelic documentary that Morricone scored in 1971 and is about the world's first supermodel and Italian film cult actress. The music definitely falls into Morricone's erotica genre and has a sophisticated, loungy type of bossa nova feel to it. Before we start analyzing the song, I need you to pause a moment and listen to the original recording once first. I want you to take note of a few things while you listen to it and hear how amazing the production and orchestration are on this song. It starts with a haunting, distant-sounding piano and the sensual, reverb-soaked vocals of Etta Del Orso singing in apparent gibberish. Morricone does lots of music with Italian lyrics, but I cannot discern any particular language here. I could be wrong, and if anybody knows the language, please leave a comment below. there are also some subtle string swells at the beginning. After the first section, the drums come in, the rhythm section with the bass, and the drums play this ridiculously complicated hi-hat pattern that is somehow groovy. I can't figure out how they made that work, but check that out. Also, a groovy electric bass comes in that at once is simple, but executed with the competence of an A-list session pro. Once the drums are in, take note of the strange and almost jarring rhythm of the string swells. They're absolutely amazing the way these strings swell in this jarring rhythm. I actually used that idea in one of my group, High Castle Tello Orchestra songs called The Days of Blue Jeans Were Gone. Go check out our record called The Egg That Never Opened and listen to that song to hear how I use just that vague idea of jarring string swells coming in on chords. There seems to be a flute that echoes the vocal melody on the chorus. Check out also the single note plucked harpsichord that is hit at certain points of the verses and during the chorus plays in unison with the vocal. Morricone is an absolute genius at having little elements like this one harpsichord note that are so simple yet so effective. Eventually, the harpsichord follows the vocal melody on the chorus. Morricone is also not afraid to have the entire string section double the melody on the chorus, which is also very effective and something a classical composer would probably never consider, seeing it as oversimplistic. I believe the string unison is probably playing in octaves to add fatness. So now, keeping all that in mind, go listen to the original version, and I'm putting the best version for you to listen to right here on the screen because there are a few to listen to. So the one I'm talking about is this very version here. Okay, I'm going to go through the song and highlight these amazing chords and key changes for you. I'm going to pretend to sing that gibberish part at certain times. I'm just going to make up the lyrics, and it's not going to sound as cool as she had it sound, but I will have to change octaves sometimes because sometimes it goes really high. So this is more about the chord progression and song form analysis than anything else. Cut me a little slack on the super high notes. So it starts on an A major 7 chord, and that's the 1 of A major, so we're in the key of A. The vocal melody note is C sharp, which is the major 3 of A major 7, so it goes and it goes up to the 4 of A, which is D major 7, but keeps that C sharp in the melody, which becomes major 7 of that chord. Wow, already a key change. So we went 1 to 4 in A, and I told you we connected them by keeping the same note in the melody, which is a common way to make reharmonizations. That C sharp stays the same on the first 2 chords. And then it goes down a half step and does a dominant 7 sharp 9. For those of you who do not know that chord very well, it's a dominant chord, but it also has a minor third in it, but the major third's below it. So you don't call it a minor because it has both a minor and a major third, and it's very tense. We used to, when I was growing up on guitar, they called it the Hendrix chord. But all that to say, it's not very well used in pop music. Jazz musicians definitely know how to use it, but as far as in pop music, it is pretty rare that a band uses that well. There is no band that has used it better than Steely Dan, who uses it all over the place and super well, and this kind of thing. So I will be doing some breakdowns on some of their songs that use that chord. But here, Morricone was in A major 7, goes 1 to 4, and it goes down a half step, which you could call it the 3 dominant of A, but he immediately goes to a new key of F sharp major 7, which is the obvious key because any dominant chord wants to resolve up a 4th. So up a 4th from C sharp 7 is F sharp major. So he resolves to bar 5, we have a new key already. So he makes a semi-announced modulation because you know something is coming when that dominant sharp 9 is happening, and he goes to the key of F sharp. So semi-announced modulation is when there's one chord that quickly takes us into the new key. It doesn't come out of absolutely nowhere, but it comes pretty quickly and unexpectedly. So let's hear that one more time. goes to a new key of D major 7. But then he's still on that C sharp. Remember in the beginning we started on C sharp, but it was 3 of A major 7. So when they get into this new key, and the new key is an unannounced modulation, it goes straight from the F sharp major 7, which we had just arrived at, and immediately goes to a new key of D major 7. But he still keeps that C sharp in the melody, which is major 7 of that chord. So the new key of F sharp major, then an unannounced modulation to D major 7. Now we're in the key of D. And we go right away to 4 of that key. G major 7. Then a 2-5 in that key. So it does a 2-5-1 in D major. The only exotic thing is on the A7, instead of just doing a straight A7, he adds a flat 9, which is a half step higher than the root. And an A7 flat 9 is kind of a way of saying diminished, because most of the notes in it are diminished except for that bass note. So if you listen to the difference, here's a regular 2-5, E minor 7 to A7 to D major 7. Now listen with the flat 9. It adds a very nice tension to it. So from the top, I'll get to it here pretty quickly. Unannounced modulation to D. Goes to 4 of that key, G major 7. Now another amazing unannounced modulation. What on earth? He goes down a half step and you don't even really notice it because he uses a tritone. So he's on D major 7, and there's a weird rule, I'm not going to get into it here, called the tritone sub, and jazz people know it, where you can sub chords that are a flatted fifth away. A tritone means a flatted fifth, but if it's a flatted fifth away, you can sub out. Instead of C, you could play F sharp. That's not what he's doing here, but I will tell you that moving in tritones is an amazing way to reset a key and have the listener not really even notice what happened. So it's an unannounced modulation. After he does that 2-5 in D, all he does is go a tritone away from that D and hit an A flat 7, and that is the 5 chord of a key that's a half step lower, which is D flat major 7. So 2, tritone away, flat 7, new key to D flat major 7. Make it dominant, which wants to go to 4, and that's what we do. Then all we do is 2-5-1 with that flat 9 again in D flat, a couple more times. Regular dominant that time. So let's take it from. Check out how great this modulation is where he goes down a half step. So it resolves to D flat major 7, but we're straight into the verse. So now we're in the key of D flat, and we're doing the same exact thing that we did at the beginning of the song. So it's like we're going to go through the whole song again, but in a different key, and then keep all those relative key changes that we already did. So suddenly this chorus dumps us off into a new verse that is now in D flat major, whereas before we were in A major. So one more time from that tritone, the weird tritone movement where we're on D major 7, and it gets us down a half step by going a flatted fifth away to an A flat 7. 1, you make 1 dominant, which wants to go to 4. That's just 2-5-1 again. Now we're right into the verse, a new verse. We're in D flat. Now we go up to 4. So using that dominant sharp 9 again. So in this case, we went from 1 in the verse, which was D flat major 7, to 4, which was G flat major 7. Then we went to 3 dominant, which is that F7 sharp 9, which wants to pull to a new key of B major 7, B major. And then immediately make an unannounced modulation to G flat major 7. Keep the note in the melody. You see how he was on B flat major 7, and then F was the melody note. Then when we go to G flat major 7, it's still the melody note because it's the major 7. Now we're in that new key of G flat major 7, and we go up a 4th to B, just like before. Now we do 2-5-1. And that weird tritone way to get down a half step again. Now we're in F, make it dominant. Just 2-5 and F again. 2, 5 and 1, and now we're in a new key. Oh, we're in the same key, but it's a new verse is what I mean. So we're in the key of F still, and we're doing a verse. We haven't done a verse in F yet. So he's going through the song again in this key. So coming out of that last 2-5, new verse. We're in F, and we go up to the 4, which is B flat major. Same thing as before. We went to, if we were in F, A7 was the 3 dominant, but it served as a 5 of a new key, which was D major 7. So that's kind of a low voicing I did for it, but it's a hard chord to voice in any other way except that. D major 7, we're in a new key. And now we go unannounced modulation to a new key. We're in B flat. Up to the 4. 2-5-1. Now we do that tritone thing again to modulate down a half step. Now we're back in A, just like the beginning. Make it dominant. 4, 2-5-1. So it ends the same way. It ends in A. There's certain types of modulations that will take you through all 12 keys. This is not it. This little formula where at the end of every verse, he suddenly modulates down a half step with that tritone trick that I showed you. This is kind of a circular modulation where it's going to take you through a couple of different keys and then dump you back at the key you started at. So, I hope you enjoyed this video. It's one of the greatest songs I have heard written. The performance, the orchestration, the production, but just the chords and melody are so sweet. Listen to the original a couple times because I can't really do this thing justice. I hope it was at least satisfactory. Thanks a lot for watching this video and taking an interest in my channel. Please help me reach a larger audience by hitting subscribe below and ringing the notification bell. Check out my video playlist page to find the categories that most interest you. Leave me a super thanks here on YouTube, and even better, come join my Patreon. Please consider buying music for my original projects ISS and High Castle Teleorchestra. Also, don't forget to sign up for my email list on the front page of timsmolens.com. You can find information about all of those things in the description below. Thanks again.